I'm concerned, the bullies are winning here. There is a majority of people who have the power and resources to put out there an image about the niqab. I teach in schools, and I said to a young bunch of children, I said to them, if somebody came into your...
You're about to witness one of the most heated debates where Douglas Murray absolutely obliterates some Islamic women scholars about their choice to wear the niqab. These are the kind of topics that the left-wing media wants you to shy away from. But Douglas is not afraid to say what we are all thinking publicly.
Can I just begin with you, Fatima?
Yes.
56% of British people don't really support the wearing of the full face veil in public. They don't want it.
Well, I think it depends on where you take the poll, really, because, something that I've recently launched is a project called Secrets of a Muslim Woman, and it's all about letting people know why we do what we do, because I think a lot of it is to do with not really being familiar with it. You know, I mean, my message to the British public is that you've got nothing to fear. You know, this is a piece of cloth.
They don't feel that, though, do they? Because elsewhere in this poll, a majority said they don't know how to relate to a woman wearing a full face veil.
I think, the people who have actually interacted with women who wear the face veil, people who work with them. I mean, we're in East London today. In East London, the veil is practically, normal on the streets of East London. People who've actually interacted and worked with women who wear the veil have absolutely no problem.
Douglas is about to let her eat her words in a second. But it's important to recognise the importance of transparency and open communication in society. Douglas's stance against the niqab aligns with the values of openness and trust that are foundational to our community. If you cover your face, it creates a barrier that prevents effective interaction and understanding between individuals. This lack of visibility can promote suspicion and fear, as people are naturally wary of what they cannot see or understand. Moreover, in a society that values equality and freedom, the niqab can be seen as a symbol of oppression, particularly against women. It is essential to protect the societal values that promote gender equality and individual freedom. By discouraging the wearing of the niqab, we are not only fostering a more transparent and cohesive society, but also standing up for the rights and dignity of women.
The fear of the unknown.
Douglas Murray, would you like to see the veil banned here?
Well, I think, like a majority of British people, I think that it should be banned in public places, particularly places like courtrooms, where it's absolutely imperative that a jury are able to see the faces of people who are accused. As for an overall ban, I think, look, my own opinion is that niqab is highly undesirable. I think that we live in a society where people do show their faces, where huge amounts of our social interaction depend on people showing their faces. I think that it's very difficult to enforce a ban in public places like streets, but it should be certainly a desirable thing to discourage its wearing.
To impose a ban, but in principle you'd like to see one because you think in Britain it's unacceptable.
In public buildings, in courts, in schools and places like this, absolutely, I think a ban would be very sensible. In streets and so on, I think it's difficult, but it should be society.
Douglas is spot on to call for banning the niqab in public places, especially in critical settings like courtrooms and schools. This is a move towards maintaining societal integrity and transparency. In our society, the ability to see and recognize each other is fundamental to building trust and ensuring justice. Covering your face with a niqab disrupts this essential aspect of social interaction and can lead to misunderstandings and mistrust. Also, public institutions such as courts and schools are pillars of our community, where transparency and equality must be upheld. Allowing the niqab in these settings can be dangerous, as it could compromise the fairness of judicial proceedings and the educational environment. While a complete ban on the niqab in all public places might be challenging to enforce, promoting a societal norm that encourages open and visible interactions aligns with our values of honesty, trust, and equality.
We have spoken to women who say that they cover their faces because they don't want to incite passions among men. I mean, that is essentially Yasmin's point.
Well, look, essentially, I think, that's Yasmin's opinion.
No, it's not my opinion.
Yes, it is. It is your opinion.
Ask the Taliban. Ask Taliban why they're imposing.
Yasmin, I'm really sorry. Maybe you haven't really met women in niqab. I would like to invite you out to my house. You can see my face. We can sit together. We can have a laugh.
Yes, but
and then I think it will change your opinion.
Douglas can come to your house and see your face, though, could he?
I can assure you I'm not going to be
He could
aroused.
meet my husband.
What these women in niqab fail to understand is that women covering their faces is only to prevent inciting passions among men, which is not only outdated, but also undermines the principles of personal responsibility and self-control. We live in a society that values equality and open communication. It is very important that individuals can interact face-to-face, fostering trust and understanding. In addition to that, the notion that men cannot control their passions unless women cover their faces is a disservice to both genders. It places an unfair burden on women and diminishes the moral responsibility of men. By supporting a ban on the niqab in public places, we are advocating for a society where individuals are judged by their character and actions, not by their appearance.
Okay.
We accommodate religious expression in this country. You know, Jehovah's Witnesses who don't want blood transfusions, Sikh people who want to wear turbans. We make exceptions, you know, in certain situations. And so, look, you know, I really want to reach out to the public and say, you've got nothing to fear from us.
But take up Yasmin's,
I was born in this country. I love this country.
Take up Yasmin's point that this is about exceptionalism. Take up Yasmin Alibhai-Brown's point about this is about exceptionalism.
We accommodate, don't we, in this country, and in my country, Britain, we accommodate religious expression. And we do make exceptions for people. And there's nothing, and that's what I thought.
And we cannot destroy the minorities and the religious belief in the name of equality.
But what if the majority feel uncomfortable, feel uneasy and say they don't want it?
I think then the onus is on us as well, isn't it? I mean, to actually reach out. And I'm hoping that this is just going one step towards that, to say to people, look, you know, we're human beings just like you.
But if I may
As Douglas rightly said, societal cohesion and transparency are important. While it is true that we accommodate various forms of religious expression, such as Jehovah's Witnesses refusing blood transfusions or Sikhs wearing turbans, the niqab presents a unique challenge. Unlike other religious symbols, the niqab covers the face, which is fundamental to human interaction and trust. In public spaces, particularly in institutions like courts and schools or even the park, the ability to see and recognize each other is essential. It ensures accountability and promotes a sense of community. While we should respect religious beliefs, there must also be a balance. If the majority feels uneasy or uncomfortable with the niqab, it is crucial to address these concerns. Upholding societal values of openness and equality sometimes means making difficult decisions that Douglas is brave enough to talk about, and in this case, it's support for a ban on the niqab.
If I may very quickly, religious freedom is an extremely important thing, and I think most people who would agree, I hope in this room, that Britain is the most tolerant place in the world to live, including as a Muslim. But let's just add one thing to this, if I may. The issue of social interaction is very important, and not just to me, but obviously to a majority of the British people. What I say tonight, what Yasmin says and other people say tonight, people see our faces, they know who said it. I'm sorry to say this, but nobody knows who you are. They can hear your name, they can't see you. If I say something stupid on television tonight, people know it's me saying it. If you do, with all due respect, you can disappear and no one knows.
No, we're not disappearing. You can see us here. Come on. The meaning of this thing is extremely important to address. The meaning of this thing is women are by nature dangerous to men and society. Therefore, they must be covered, they must be buried. That's the meaning of it. And that
Douglas Murray's rebuttal is spot on, as it emphasises a critical point. Social interaction and accountability are fundamental to any peaceful society. In Britain, where transparency and open communication are valued, the niqab then poses a significant barrier. When we speak or act in public, our faces and identities are visible, ensuring that we are accountable for our words and actions. This transparency promotes trust and mutual respect. Finally, Douglas offers us the only solution possible at this moment, and a horrifying example of the consequences that await us if we don't act. The idea that women must be covered from head to toe to prevent them from being dangerous to men is deeply troubling. It not only undermines the dignity of women, but also suggests that men lack the self-control to interact with women respectfully. This ideology is not only outdated, but also incompatible with the values of equality and personal responsibility.
Not a single person, not a single woman has said to me, my husband has forced me to wear a niqab. What the issues they do have is regards to niqab. I am fearful to go out. I'm at home, I'm lonely, I'm depressed. I don't even want to go out because I feel like I'm not accepted. And the other thing I really want to express is that where is the humanity? You know, at the end of the day, you know, as a woman, as a person, as a human being, where's my right to be who I am?
Douglas is about to totally destroy her in a second, But while these women might argue that wearing the niqab is a personal choice and part of their identity, it's crucial to recognize the broader issues it brings to society. The niqab, by its very nature, creates a barrier between individuals and hinders open communication, which is fundamental to a cohesive society. Also, these women fail to recognize that the feelings of loneliness and depression they describe clearly shows how wearing the niqab highlights the isolating effect that comes with it. If your whole face is covered, who do you expect to approach you for a conversation? This isn't just about personal freedom, it's about ensuring that all members of society can engage openly and freely without any barriers like the niqab.
This is my identity.
You have that right. You have that right, and you exercise it, and so are all of the other ladies in this room. But the question is whether or not, and I would ask this of I think of everyone in the room who's covered, do you think that by covering your face from everyone else in society, you are exacerbating difference or making it less bad?
Mariam,
would any of you at least recognise that you are exacerbating a difference?
Douglas Murray's rebuttal proves a critical issue, which is that the niqab inherently increases societal divisions. Everyone has the right to express their identity, but the broader impact on societal inclusion cannot be ignored. The niqab acts as a physical and symbolic barrier, fostering an environment of separation rather than unity. In a society that values open communication and mutual understanding, covering one's face prevents the development of trust and community bonds. As Douglas rightly says, it's not merely about personal choice. It's about the collective well-being and peace of society. By recognizing the divisive nature of the niqab, we can take steps to ensure that societal values of openness and integration are upheld, which will ultimately promote a more compatible and unified community.
First and foremost, I think we need to look at human rights, okay? In 1998, there was the Human Rights Convention, okay? Under Article 9, it specifically says we all have the freedom of expression, we have the freedom of belief, we have the freedom of so many things that, you know, like in this country, I thought
Mariam, on Douglas Murray's point, that this is, you know, do you understand that many people feel this is divisive? It is a curtain between you and the rest of society.
Well, to be quite frank, I think people are free to feel how they want. It doesn't, I don't care how you feel. It's really, no, wait. Really and truly, it's about my human rights. My human right, I am allowed to cover. You don't have to
just
agree.
Very briefly on the point that many people in the survey said that they feel unease, they feel uncomfortable, they feel anxious.
Well, to be quite frank, I feel like that towards emos, but that's all right.
Can I just point out, there is something.
The argument for human rights and freedom of expression may be valid. However, let's consider the broader societal impact of wearing the niqab. Douglas is spot on when he emphasizes that individual rights should not come at the expense of societal peace and mutual trust. The physical and psychological barrier that the niqab creates between individuals only foster feelings of unease and discomfort among the wider community. This is not just about personal freedom, but about the collective responsibility we have to ensure that our society remains open, integrated, and united. In a society that values transparency and open communication, the niqab stands in contrast to these principles, potentially hindering the development of trust and understanding. Therefore, while respecting individual rights, we must also prioritize the greater good for society.
What's in your mind, Kola Hassan?
This lady is constantly talking about rights. As a Muslim, you should know that responsibility is there as well. You have a responsibility to society around you.
Exactly. I'm a community organizer.
Douglas brilliantly highlights a crucial aspect often overlooked in discussions on rights, which is the balance between individual freedoms and societal responsibilities. Although the niqab wearer keeps emphasizing her human rights, Douglas rightly points out that with rights come responsibilities. In any functioning society, it's very important to consider how personal choices impact the community. The niqab, as Douglas suggests, creates a barrier that can hinder mutual trust between individuals in the society. It's not just about one's freedom to express their beliefs, but also about the responsibility to contribute positively to societal unity and peace. If we focus solely on individual rights without acknowledging the broader societal implications, we risk fostering division rather than unity. Therefore, it is vital to strike a balance, ensuring that personal freedoms do not undermine the collective well-being of society.
You're a doctor in the NHS.
Yes, I am.
And obviously that is one of the very public places where a ban, you know, if it were to be considered, that
Well, first of all, I would like to say that calling for a ban on niqab in NHS is actually talking about an issue that does not really exist. Because me and my friends, a lot of have been contacting a lot of doctors all across the 4 countries of United Kingdom, and none of them have ever come across a doctor who actually observed the face veil within NHS, or even a nurse. Exactly. So I don't really see that why an issue that does not really exist is actually being addressed. There is no one, or no doctor or a nurse who actually wears the niqab in NHS.
Just very,
even
very
myself,
on that point,
because
isn't that an acknowledgement that there is a difficulty for many people, that patients would find it uncomfortable?
No, it's not actually like that, because I am not given a choice to wear it within NHS. When I know it as a fact that if I wear my face veil and go to a job interview, I will never be taken up.
While this NHS doctor argues that no doctors wear the niqab in the NHS, this isn't just about the current situation, but about the principles and values that guide our public institutions. The NHS is a cornerstone of British society, which relies on open communication and trust between healthcare providers and patients. However, here is the case where the niqab will cover the whole face and can create a barrier to these essential elements, potentially affecting the quality of care and the comfort of patients. Moreover, the fact that the opponent acknowledges that wearing a niqab would hinder job opportunities in the NHS proves the practical challenges it poses, and the point Douglas is trying to convey. It's not merely about individual choice, but about maintaining a standard that ensures effective and transparent healthcare for all.
How is it that you say it's an absolutely fundamental, you have to wear it, it's a right, it's a necessity upon you, but yet you say you go through an airport and it doesn't matter if you lift it? Is it so negotiable? In France, many of the women who said we cannot go out if we don't wear it have taken it off.
Douglas totally obliterates this NHS doctor with his rebuttal that raises a critical point about the consistency and necessity of wearing the niqab. This inconsistency undermines these women's argument that the niqab is an absolute requirement. If the niqab is truly fundamental to one's faith, then exceptions, like lifting it at airports or in countries like France, should not be negotiable. This flexibility suggests that the niqab is more about personal or cultural preference rather than a non-negotiable religious mandate. Therefore, in a society that values transparency, especially in public spaces and services, such inconsistencies can create confusion and distrust. As Douglas brilliantly emphasizes the importance of clear, consistent standards that uphold societal values and ensure effective communication and trust in all public interactions.
Many of the women who came forward to talk to us today are very young. And actually, one of the questions that I think a lot of people ask is, you know, we've looked at Afghanistan and we've heard stories of women who have burnt the face veil and are terrified of the prospect of having to wear it again. Yeah. And they just don't understand how young women in Britain want to wear it here. Very briefly, if you can.
Well, I started wearing the niqab at a young age, and the reason is after a research. It's a long spiritual journey. I found out that when I wear the niqab, I'll be closer to God. It's an act of worship, is an act of modesty, and is liberating and dignifying. And since then, I've never changed my mind. And although my parents, my mum, my sister, don't wear it, it's me. It's my personal choice.
These women also fail to understand the disconnect between personal choice and societal norms. They claim that wearing the niqab is a personal spiritual journey, an act of worship. But if it raises concerns about the broader implications for shared values, then is it really worth it? Imagine how in countries like Afghanistan, women have fought against the niqab, viewing it as a symbol of oppression. Then you come to Britain, and you have young women who will just go out of their way to wear it. It can be seen as a troubling trend that contradicts the progress made towards gender equality and personal freedom. Moreover, the idea that wearing the niqab brings one closer to God can be perceived as subjective and not universally applicable. What we need to prioritize is our shared values and clear communication to ensure that personal choices do not undermine the collective well-being.
Yes, and in a free society, the opinions of other people also have to matter. It's not just about you exercising your choice. The way other people feel about that should be of some concern to you.
But you know, these feelings are coming from negative prejudices.
We have
coming from
You don't want men's opinions? No. You don't want men's opinions?
I'm sorry, we are going to have to end it there. I'm really sorry.
As the only man, I'm sorry you don't want to hear men's opinions.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Douglas's final point really hits home. In a free society, individual choices can't be made in a void. It's crucial to consider how those choices impact others. When women choose to wear the niqab, it's not just about their personal journey or spiritual beliefs. It's also about how their actions affect the community around them. Feelings of discomfort or concern from others aren't always rooted in prejudice. They can stem from genuine worries about integration, communication, and shared societal values. By ignoring these concerns, there's a dangerous risk of creating divisions and misunderstandings. What Douglas is doing is advocating for a balanced approach where personal freedoms are respected, but not at the expense of societal peace. It's about finding common ground and ensuring that everyone's opinions and feelings are valued in a truly free society. What are your thoughts on what Douglas has to say in this debate? Be sure to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments section what your thoughts are. See you in the next video.